All right, welcome to the stream today, guys. It's been a while since I had anything posted online. We're going to be talking about a couple of games that I'm pretty excited for that's going to be coming out. And the first one up is Dune Awakening. They've actually got a release date out now. So it's going to be coming to PC first, which is kind of weird. And then it's going to be going to console. So let me throw you up on the Steam page here real quick. We talk about it real quick. So this is Dune Awakening, open world, multiplayer, MMO set in the most dangerous planet in the universe. Survive the desert by learning the ways of the Fremen. Expand your potential. Guide Guild. Okay, so what I really like about this game is it looks like they put in some good development time. It's not cyberpunk quality, like as far as like the details of like how nice everything is going to be, but this is Capcom. So they are known to be making pretty decent played games, you know what I'm saying? Let's see, they've got the Discord open, and the Discord is actually how I learned about their latest game release trailer, which is right here. Came out August 21st. Currently, today I'm filming this, September the 24th. So that was about a month, almost a month ago. And the trailer, it definitely reawoken my interest in this game again. Because when I found this game over a year ago, they did not have any... Oh, million wish list, nice. When I found it a year ago, they didn't have any kind of release date. And they were basically saying that, you know, it was going to be coming in the future. Well, now, they've actually released, you know, early 2025. So, for PC. And then they have not released for a console date yet. So I'm going to get us into this trailer and let me know what you think at their latest trailer. Okay.
Hello and
that's not the one I wanted to show you. That wasn't it. This is their latest trailer. That's my bad. Rookie mistakes. Rookie mistakes. Dune Awakening. Here we go.
You begin as a nameless prisoner. Sculpt your appearance. Choose your background.
You got custom customizations.
You are abandoned.
See, and this is the beta.
And
this
alone.
is right there. It says progress in work beta.
Hunted by sandworms.
Sandworm.
By
I can say the sandworm
unforgiving
needs a
sun
little bit of detail
planet
touching.
in the universe.
But that.
Meet hundreds of other players in the
Hundreds of
vast
other players
online world.
Going to be on the online.
Or betray
In the
those
world,
you
like
meet.
in the. So it's going to be. Let me pause this. So it's going to be basically server bound, and in that server, there's going to be hundreds of people in the world that you're currently exploring. And through some of the evidence that I've looked through, some of the details, it appears there's going to be like a safe zone that's under a dome, like a protective shield. And when you leave that area, you go out into the Spice Wars, which is basically where all the money's to be made. But you have enemy factions, and you have like other online players trying to keep you from getting that spice.
Alliance. In this case, a spit dart rifle and a still suit for your help taking down territorial deserters. Working with others.
Basic. I'm gonna slip back to that. So you got some basic customization going on. Don't know what's going on with all these gear wheels. That must be something you can pull up in game. You got a sword. Looks like a flashlight. Some binoculars. This looks like some kind of a radiology thing. Maybe looking for things underground or landscape.
Working with others.
Oh, didn't mean to do that. Go back to your clothing. You get. That's interesting. So this is almost like a secondary kind of additional add-on type items over here. So it looks like they've got some kind of rebreather or something sitting right there. And then additional spot for something. This looks like a waist, like a belt clip for something. Shield, additional shielding. And then you got different classes as well, fighting classes. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. Let's see, we'll click back to this.
Will always increase your chance of staying alive. The Deserter Base. Climb to a vantage point.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Prepare for violence.
Being able to climb on the territory.
Your choice of weapons and abilities determines your strategy. Swordmasters lead the charge into battle.
Okay, so different
Hurl
choices,
ranged
different
attacks with a
abilities.
shield, and then take them out, one by one.
Yeah, so see,
Deploy
he
the
has a
Hunter
shield
Seeker
on. Let's go back to
by
that.
one.
See, it says he had a shield on, which is what I was saying earlier. It looked like you could put an additional slot in that shield. We check out your health bar. It looks like you've got, your vitals. You've got your health. You've got your power suit, which is probably the shield, and your moisture. That's something this game is going to have, is how much water you're keeping, how hot your body's getting in the sun. Looks like you've got 3 basic moves down here. You've got the forward dash. You've got a grenade of some sort, and then you've got the flying knee, which I think he does the flying knee, like right here. Let me see.
One by one. Deploy the Hunter Seeker and kill from the shadows. Take
Oh, that
what
Hunter
you
Seeker's
can
dirty.
from the fallen. On Arrakis, nothing of value.
You see
is
that? He's
wasted.
taking the blood. He's extracting it.
Mine, harvest, and gather with your group to build bases and unlock more advanced equipment, like the blood purifier. Refine the
Okay,
blood you
okay.
collected from your enemies to
I like
extract
the base.
drinkable water.
Extracting
improved
drinkable
equipment
water? Let me look
using
at that. Let me look back
fabricators.
at that.
Using fabricators.
Oh, that was... Whoa.
Craft
Easy.
and
Slow.
to extract drinkable.
All right, drinkable water, blood purifier. Okay. Okay, so this is in his base. And you've seen all those other people that were online. It looked like they were clan members or group members, whatever you want to call them, whatever they are going to call them. Blood packs, 1,000 milliliters, and you can carry 5,000. So you exchange that blood for some pure water. Evaporation rate, processing rate. Like, okay, so there's like a lot of time scaling going on here. Like, you've got to wait for that to process before you get your water, before you can go out on a mission.
Craft improved equipment using fabricators. Replicate your bases in new locations with the blueprint
Okay,
system.
now this is something I was
And
interested
then
in, is the
sell
building
blueprints
part.
of your architectural wonders to other players.
Oh, did you hear that?
Architectural wonders to other players
Whoa.
with the blueprint system. And then sell blueprints of your architectural wonders to other players.
You hear that? So you can blueprint your building and then sell the blueprint to other players, which is kind of wild.
Lead your group to become a guild. On Arrakis, a nameless prisoner can rise, construct an ornithopter, and take to the air. The world is yours to claim.
That's pretty cool. You can build your ornithopter. Temperature 392 degrees.
The
Is
in-game
that
radio
Celsius?
provides
Is that
insight
Kelvin?
into key events happening across
Definitely wouldn't be
Arrakis.
Kelvin.
Map the desert. Discover landmarks, wrecked
Okay.
ships,
I
and
like the
desert
open
testing
world.
stations
I like the big area.
filled with forgotten technology.
Look at that game.
Arrakis is a vast planet. You can explore unique locations, uncover valuable resources, and search for secrets amongst the shifting dunes.
This is interesting. They've got a lot of different structures.
And
They've
then
got some AI. They've got some
Return to
online
civilization
players.
triumphant.
Return to
with
your
what you
base. Because you can build your
Harco
base, get your
Village
clan, your
throngs with
guild.
people. Spice traders, guild bankers, smugglers, house envoys, and of course, other players.
And of course, other
Here, you will
players.
pledge allegiance to one of the great houses of Dune, the Harkonnen.
Pledge allegiance to a different house?
But
Okay,
remember,
so you can have a couple
to play
houses.
politics, you need power. And on Arrakis, spice is power. In the deep desert beyond the shield wall, hundreds of players scour the landscape, hunting for spice. Every spice blow has the potential to become a heated battle, with multiple guilds vying for the precious melange.
Dang, all out war.
Even when it looks
Multiple
like
guilds trying to
defeat
get the
is inevitable.
spice.
Those who understand desert power can awaken Arrakis itself.
Get out of here, the worm's coming! Wow. The size of that worm. Dun dun. Dun dun dun. There it is, coming to PC early 2025. All right, guys. And then PlayStation, Xbox will be released later. Haha. So I don't really see this too often, where they target to the PC market before, but I wonder if that's because of the MMO online capability. Because, you know, in order to get the Xbox and PlayStation to the online servers, you've got to play nice with Xbox and PlayStation, you know, all that type of stuff. So that was the latest trailer that they've dropped. And on their Steam here, this is their Steam page. They've got another trailer that's a little bit older, but
Arrakis is a test.
Check this out real second.
Few survive it.
You can't tell me this game doesn't look great. I mean, come on. Yeah, I will admit, the sandworm, this whole scene, I feel like it could have been done better. Oh yeah, all of that. The hunter-seeker drone. Doing a repair on the quadcopter. Construct a city for your base. Look at these windmills. Dude, the spice world. No, please, don't kill me.
Arrakis is a test. Few survive it. But the humans that do.
Dang, the Brennan. Dune Awakening. Bum, bum, bum. Dune, an open world survival MMO. It's all going to be about collecting resources, building your bases, you know, budgeting, online multiplayer, cooperation. I feel like they're really trying to go for a Destiny style of game, looking at some of the things that they've got pulled up. Now, let's bring up that first video that I was going to show you, because it actually gives you a little bit more of deep dive into what the game's actually going to be bringing with the devs and everything that they released at Gamescom. Looking at some of these things that they've got here. What is this? Director Dune Awakening explores what it means to call our game MMO and shares details about the server infrastructure. Yeah, looking like all over the world, bouncing server, or going, you know, different regions. Oh, yeah, so that video. Here we go. This is that video I was going to show you earlier that I accidentally clicked on too early. So this is Gamescom 2024, which was a month ago. No, a couple weeks ago. And it shows pretty good stuff about Dune Awakening.
I'm Zoe Schwind, and you can see today you're not joining me on Arrakis, but the next best thing, which is, of course...
Oh, dang, not the ads.
Immerses you in a universe.
And now Joel and I are in front of the theater. This is where the presentations are happening. There will be people queuing right there. A timer will show them when the next one starts.
Yeah, so it looks like they've got a showing at the Gamescom. They built a little room. They're able to kind of give everybody a glimpse at what it's going to look like. This is a big screen that they had. The developer was playing the game, and some people can watch for about 30 minutes. So parts of the game looked really, really good. I will say that.
At the end of the game. That's kind of what's going to happen in the presentation.
And then afterwards, questions.
Afterwards, questions, and I kind of want this screen at home.
I don't want that screen at home. Yeah, it's pretty big. I don't like the color. It looks kind of blurry.
Impressive on a big screen, as we already knew, but it's fun to see it with the game involved as well. And for those of you who could make it to Gamescom, there's of course, or was of course, an opportunity to still catch all the action from this presentation from our streamer booth. We had streamers like
They had a streamer booth. Look at these PCs they had.
At last, we're finding
So they've got the Alienware.
ourselves in probably
New Alienware PC case with the side, or I think Alienware just actually released an even newer one, but they had this for about a year or two, these cases, and they here at Gamescom they were letting people play the game for just a few minutes, and he talks about that.
Try things out, and we'll be using a few cheats to let them jump forward in the game as well if they want to see things like flying an ornithopter, which is kind of cool. So yeah,
they let them experience all the cool parts of the game in this little demo.
Get deep into the game.
People did some cosplay for it. They had a giant sandworm like crafted for the place. It would have been cool for me to go. I didn't even know about this Gamescom.
Gamescom's been amazing. There's so many people, but it's been fun talking to people who either know about Dune or don't know about Dune and introducing them to our game, seeing so many familiar faces and new faces. And
to birth the project, I guess, to the people. It's just really great to kind of see and get their reaction of playing the game.
About Dune Awakening, how does it feel for the first time to be able to show your game to the public?
I mean, it's really, really exciting. It's humbling to see what the public think. Like when you really get it in front of players, people who play the game. Like we've shown it to journalists and creators a few times, but this is really like the first look for people who, you know, just play games. You know, will they get into the gameplay? Will they like it? You know, are they seeing what we see, the promise of the game?
So you say the reaction of the players, have you just been creeping around the corners of the booth to watch them whilst they play?
You're watching people play, I'm the guy who stands behind you and kind of
There will be a comment or two about that, I'm sure.
coughs every time you
It's gonna
you
play
do something
differently.
wrong. Yeah, exactly. It's left. Left.
You guys came not just, of course, with a game to showcase, but also a new tagline. It's Survive, Expand, Control. What's the tagline all about?
Survive, Expand, Control is really kind of the phases that the player goes through on their journey in Dune Awakening. And we've kind of always had this, like we will always use this internally to explain the player journey. In the beginning of the game, the player is really learning the mechanics of survival, the harshness of Arrakis.
See, here's what I was talking about, gathering resources,
learning
collecting, hydrating,
water,
staying in the shade.
Avoiding that sandworm. And
Avoiding the
making their way through
sandworm.
the world. But then over time, they become more settled. They start to build a base.
I kind of like the snapping base mechanic. I love that you can build your own,
go out into the world and explore,
vehicles. I love
expand
that.
Their operations,
you just put it
they
together.
expand their bases. They make them larger. Maybe they move to a better part of the map that they prefer. And then eventually, once you've sort of seen what the world has to offer, you start vying for control over the spice. So you want to start, forming a guild.
That's where all the money's at.
Perhaps signing up with one of the factions, and of course, trying to control the production of spice on Arrakis.
So it's like a bit of a checklist for the player, essentially.
Exactly.
Like these 3 steps,
a little checklist.
And then profit.
These 3 steps, 300 hours later, and you're the king of the world.
Easy.
What?
It's so simple.
Did he just say 300 hours in order to get through those steps?
A bit of a checklist for the player, essentially.
Exactly.
Like these 3 steps and then profit.
These 3 steps, 300 hours later, and you're the king of the world.
Easy. It's so
Oh my God. 300 hours is what they're planning on the involved time to take to get through the building of your bases, the joining guilds, the creating your guilds, joining the Spice Wars, winning Spice Wars. Like that's 300 hours into the game. That's pretty amazing. Let's skip here.
And the second most obvious thing is stick to the shadows, right? So obviously the game has a full dynamic day-night cycle, and as the sun moves through the sky, the shadows change position in the world, and you want to try and stick to where they are and do your activities in the shade. Now that isn't always possible, so you start to craft yourself gear like steel suits, which allow you to, resist more heat, and of course preserve water. And you start to craft yourself like steel tents, which allow you to have portable shelter in the world.
Little portable
Alright, so
shelter if you're going on a
those
long
suits and
run.
the still tents, is that something I can craft myself?
Yes, so especially later on in the game, part of the journey that you go on as a player is you go through these trials of Akul, which are kind of a Fremen ritual, and at the end of those rituals, you learn recipes that the Fremen have prepared for their own survival in the desert.
Oh, so you have
as
to
a player
go through
can
trials, and then
start
you
to
learn the
craft those items
recipes.
that you picked up. Yeah.
And you can craft them
for
after
example,
that.
also
I wonder if you can do those
build buildings
trials
and use their shape to
together
hide
as,
behind them?
as like
Does
a
that work?
clan or a
Yes.
team.
Okay, sick. That's actually really cool.
It's actually kind of fun. It's also like sometimes you'll be out harvesting, right?
Yeah.
And there'll be a rock that's casting a shadow, and you'll be like, oh, I'm just going to crouch behind the rock before I shatter it so
Yeah.
that I don't actually, get some
get
strokes.
burned while you're...
Smart. So use
Yeah.
the environment
Yeah.
to your advantage, or create environment for your advantage.
And everything's
also.
kind of dynamic, so it's nice, yeah.
That's really
Kinda dynamic,
that
so
generates
everything
just
can be kinda
so much
moved
joy
or
because
digged or
everything on Iraq is so dynamic,
lined.
like the sand, the movements, the imprints you leave whilst walking on that sand as well.
That stuff is interesting, and then there's like other layers to that where you can use like certain devices to blow away the sand because you're looking for buried treasure.
Oh,
Things that
that's
get deposited
cool.
by sandstorms.
So you can
They
look for
leave
buried treasure in the
their wake
sand.
that you can actually, find hidden beneath the sand. You need to
And then,
scan
like,
it to find it, and then you can,
what
dig
the
up the
heck?
treasure. It's kind of
Oh,
cool.
and it just brings it to the
things like
surface?
that the technology allows us to do.
That's really cool. Such an interactive.
Oh, I love the
open
imprint
world
that it
to
left in the
explore
sand.
for all the
That
players.
was nice.
Now, another thing we got to see more of during Gamescom is building and the process. We talked about blueprints a little bit, about the collaboration of building. I want to dig a little deeper into customization. How customizable are those buildings?
Well, I mean, so we have multiple different
Change the
building
colors,
sets,
right?
So the one that we've
Or is
shown
it
most
just
of the time in
stone?
these trailers is the Chome building set. Chome being kind of this organization that mass produces things in the world. And so you start with the basic building tiers, and then
Okay, so they
over
do have
time you can
multiple different
upgrade into
styles.
more fancy versions, which have different visuals, and you have things like if you join the factions, you get access to the Atreides, building set, the Harkonnen building sets,
Oh, wow.
and these kind of allow you to visually
Faction
customize how your base.
specific. Okay, so faction specific building materials. I'm sure they're going to do faction specific, clothing and then that type of stuff. So that's really going to be a big deciding factor. And where you want to go is like, okay, well, what do I want to build with? How am I going to create this, faction or this like group of strong spice, loving. Yeah, here we go. It's about to be a war, Spice Wars.
Looks right, and obviously Harkonnen is very H.R. Geiger, very dark, and the Atreides is more like fancy castle kind of stuff.
Can I mix and match?
Yes, you can combine those in any way you like to create some really weird hybrid combinations.
That can get very messy, can it? Okay.
It can look
You can mix and
Very
match.
weird.
Yeah,
That's
you
what
probably just want to
customization is
build
all
the
about. You want
building
people to be able
or
to
the
express
space.
themselves.
exactly expression.
Yeah, express
customize-
yourself. You probably want to build the space with one design. And like if you're going to do another room, you could probably do another room with a different design, but I wouldn't mix multiple designs in the same room because that would be, I mean, you can do it, obviously, but is it going to be worth it?
Customization is one of our pillars. So express yourself however you like, even if it turns out that your Harkonnen Atreides hybrid is an abomination to mankind.
Exactly.
Another thing which has
Like
been
it's going to look
coming up
terrible.
a lot more during what we've seen here at Gamescom is the presence of spice. So I want to talk a little bit
Yes.
more about that. We've seen two
The
different types now,
in-game
flower
stuff.
sand as well as
That's
spice.
in-game spice.
How do you harvest that? What's the difference between the two?
Yeah, so a part of the kind of mechanic of the game is drawing people out onto the sand where that sandworm is, making their lives a little more risky, a little more dangerous. Flower sand is this soft sand. It's mentioned in the books as a place
Flower
where the Fremen
sand?
like to pitch their tents because it's the softest place to
Well, okay, look at that. Look at that. So I think this right here is telling you how dense or soft the sand is that you're on. And then also you can see the different textures right through here. You have wavy texture, and then over here is almost like a clayish kind of texture.
sleep. It's kind of this very fine-grained sand you find on the most exotic of beaches.
Or Arrakis.
Yeah, or Arrakis in this case. It's very fine-grained sand, and in the game you need it as a resource for crafting. So you can go out there, you can harvest this flower sand by hand. It takes
Flower
a little while
sand,
to
that's
harvest
it right
a lot
there.
of
You can
flower
see
sand
it.
that
You can
way.
see the texture difference.
Or you can use this really cool tool we have called the static compactor. And when you
Whoa,
fire
and
the
it like
static
sucks
compactor
in
at
all the
ground, it kind
flower
of
sand around it.
takes all the sand
That
and
was
lumps
cool.
it together in this big pile for you to just harvest straight away.
That sounds like something
Yep,
that makes noise.
start with
though.
gathering with your
Yeah, it
hand.
does, right? And when you make a
Move
lot
on
of
with
noise on the
that.
sand, you start to attract the sandworm.
Uh-oh.
Hi, it's James Wan here.
Oh, here we go.
producer
Another
of
ad.
Teacup,
Can't
Peacock's
believe. You know, I
terrifying
really
new
got to get rid
horror
of these
series.
ads. Uh-oh, they attracted the sandworm. Get out of there. It's coming. It knows where you're at. All right, you got to dodge. You don't run right into the mouth. Oh my. Should have dodged way before then. Uh-oh. It's still mad.
So these are kind of the mechanics you use for harvesting flower
Ooh,
sand.
that kind of gave me
And
chills.
then later on, when you get to spice, it works functionally. It's quite similar in that the big spice blows leave giant spice fields on the sand, and you kind of harvest in the same way. You can harvest by hand, you can harvest with a static compactor, and of course, you want to bring, to harvest the most, you want to bring a sand crawler, dump that on the surface and use it to suck up as much spice as possible. And naturally, all of these things take place on the open sand, and the sandworm always comes.
Is there an effect from being around the spice for too long whilst harvesting? Like, am I inhaling the spice? What is happening to me?
Yeah, so just by virtue of being on Arrakis, you're inhaling a lot more spice than you probably would if you didn't live on Arrakis.
Factual, yeah.
And we see that in the films as well. Happens in the books. And so yeah, as a player, if you stand around on a spice blow too long without proper protection, you start to inhale too much spice and it gets into your bloodstream, and that can lead to, let's say, certain effects on your character in the world and in the game. Yeah.
So it looks like here you have a spice meter, and if you are around the spice for too long or breathing it in too much, it's going to affect your body in different ways. And I wonder how those ways are going to present themselves.
These visions that Paul has, I think, is an interesting thing. We're definitely exploring this kind of idea in the game. What it is and what it means, I'll leave for the players and their imagination, and hopefully one day they'll find out.
Noted.
And one day they'll find out.
Now that I harvest,
I'm going to keep going a little bit, skipping it up.
Is there anything you can share about the connection between spice and abilities?
Yeah, so as the
Spice
player's
and
blood
abilities.
gets saturated with spice, you can imagine how abilities might be altered by being able to see just a little bit into the future. And so, we have some of those effects in the game. I won't, again, spoil too much of it, but yeah, it will have an impact on your abilities.
Fine, I'll take that. That was an answer. We'll take it.
It's an answer. I can't go too far down that path.
Spice and abilities are linked in a way.
Of abilities, though, it was really, really exciting to see some new abilities showcased here at Gamescom. Shield was one of them. Can you maybe talk a little bit about adding new abilities, your philosophy when it comes to creating abilities and make them work in your world?
Sure, we have. First of all, we have our different archetypes, right? And we try to maintain our consistency with the lore of who those people should be. So if you are a mentat or a trooper, it's kind of like your basic set of abilities is kind of aligned around what that archetype would be using. So, a mentat, computers, being able to see.
So depending on what class you choose, is gonna change what abilities you're gonna be able to access for your fighting style.
And calculate information really quickly in the world. But then, from a gameplay and fun perspective, we're trying to build a game that has combat that is about getting in close for melee combat and then pulling back quickly to go back to range. So you're always switching your tactics based on the enemies you're fighting. If they're wearing shields, then you need to get in there and attack them with melee. Ranged attacks just won't do
range
the trick,
won't
right? So it's
work on,
kind of really
on certain shield enemies.
And so our ability design is really about giving
I'm gonna pause it here. So looking at the menus, you've got inventory, crafting, technology, skills, journey, and customization. Looking at some of your abilities, you've got 7 different nodes on this with 3 each. You got about 5 or 6 on there. I can't see. You got another 7, 8 over down here. Got some more. So they've got a couple of different abilities and a couple of different changes in style that you can run them. It looks like, different stamina, different this, different that, combined, customization.
So that they can be struck down by your blade. So it's kind of about combining these things, and our ability design really takes this to heart. How do we get people in and out as quickly as possible?
So with the traversal abilities, I can really kind of pair that with items and tech, right?
Yeah, so, of course we have the suspensor belts, which basically at their lowest level allow you to fall without taking damage, but at their highest level allow you to fly basically freely with obviously power drains over time, but suspensor belts really allow you full mobility in the air.
I'm essentially the Baron at that point.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Essentially the Baron, just going to be floating.
And then you can combine those.
Your fantasy is to be the Baron, so I need to stop you.
I've been working on it for years.
Okay.
Oh God.
But no, so the ability to use suspensor belts to fly around, right, and then combining it with a sugar wire claw, using the momentum of both of them to pull you through the world, twice as fast as you could normally move.
Whoa, okay, combo move.
Using the dash into a suspensor belt, which allows you to really go quickly in the world. It's kind of crazy, and we might
The
need to tone
dash
it down.
and then
But
the
that sort of
wire
stuff is like,
and then the
it's super
glad.
interesting to see, and that's kind of what we mean by our combined arms. It's like playing around in the sandbox with the way that the combat, the abilities, all these kind of things come together to just make combat feel really dynamic and interesting.
There were a lot of interesting things, obviously, throughout the last few days here at Gamescom that were shown during, the opening ceremony, and also the things we see here on the booth. Also, we got to get more sneak peeks into like the player hubs. So we got to see a
the
sneak
player
peek of an
hub,
Allegiance ceremony, for
different
example. But that's something that you shared in the past, that people do not have to align with one of the houses. That's still true, right?
Okay,
I
you don't have to
get involved in any
get
of
into
that.
the housing.
It is true. You
don't
as
have
a
to
player
align
do
with the
not
clan.
have to join one of these factions in the game. You're not forced to join them. You can play the game as a lone wolf, or like with your little clan or guild of people who don't want to be part of the major faction, but you'll always kind of end up interacting with them in some way, right? The Harkonnen and the Atreides are fighting this war of assassins over the planet's surface, and in some way your contracts and the way that you work in the world, you're always going to encounter them in some form. But you don't have to join them. You don't have to be one of them. You can maintain your independence.
Join either one of them.
You can help people who are participating in the Landsrad, but you don't have to be aligned necessarily with either. Not tying.
You could be a solo. You can just be out there doing your own shit.
A few drawback window. Early 2025 is when players can get a hand on the game all
on
over
PC,
the world.
early
But before
2025.
that, will players get an opportunity to play more in the beta? Will there be a bigger beta, a more open beta?
Beta,
what's the spiel?
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we're still doing our persistent beta that we started a few months ago. We're letting in more and more people over time, and we're going to start boosting it in a big way, adding lots of people to the beta in the coming months so that we can really test our server robustness, our scaling, and of course things like our end game systems, which we really need a lot of people to help us test out. So
Yeah, you gotta
it's a
stress
great
test
time.
these things.
Hopefully people have already wishlisted the game and signed up on DuneAwakening.com, but if they haven't, still plenty of opportunities to get your hands on the
Dune
game. and make a
Awakening. Okay, I'm going to be signing up
decision
for that
about whether you
beta.
like it or not
You can
before we
100% bet
launch it.
that.
Absolutely. Well, Joel, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm going to release you back into the wild to look at what the players are playing at. Join the conversation. It's been so much fun to be.
Nice. What was that? Oh, the Dune Awakening. Keeping them on. They got Instagram, Tik, YouTube, Facebook. Nope, no Facebook. Steam, Discord, all that stuff. Okay. Basically, that is what I wanted to show you guys. Wanted to kind of give you the heads up on what this Dune world is going to be like. I think it's going to turn out really good. It looks like they've started slow. That guy said it was about 4 or 5 years in development at this point. So it looks like they've really thought about how this game's going to last. And the way they're doing an online multiplayer kind of collective reminds me a whole lot of how Destiny 2 was running, because you could group up on the central hub and then as a group go out and do these cabals or whatever and fight these like big bosses, get all these rewards, come back. But they didn't have the whole build your base, your clans together, all that kind of stuff. So that brings a whole nother level to this kind of game. The adventure, like open world, the customization of the vehicles, like they're going to implement all of this, the buildings, the blueprints, selling the blueprints. Like they've already done so much to this game, and it's not even in the demo yet. Like this looks like it's almost a ready run game. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this. I really hope you enjoyed this channel. I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want to see more like this, don't forget to subscribe and like, and I appreciate all of you. All right, see you next time.